Group 4 racing has evolved over the last few years. We have some four-wheel drive big power machines and we have some exotic race cars. But before, Mazdas ran things here. Tell me how long have you been racing?
I've been racing for 5 years now.
And why you chose motor racing?
Well, because I ain't really good at anything else. Well, I grew up around cars. My father used to race for many, many years since I was small, and I had a road RX7 for many years in which I used to play around with, go in the engine, change a lot of stuff, a lot of internal. So I know the car, and I decided to try my hand at the circuit.
Okay, so given the fact that you had a road racing Mazda RX7, I figured that was the reason behind going Mazda for Group 4.
Well, one of the reasons, yeah, I found it to be reasonably inexpensive for me to maintain. I do most of my work here in-house at Jiffy Lubes, and it's reasonable for me to maintain. I had a lot of parts that I could reuse, and the car has, from factory, has a good balance. I think it's a car that has been built before its time, built in 1992, competing with cars that are built now. So I think that's the main reason.
All right, now we know that in Group 4 now there's a lot of big power machines and so on. Some people say the Mazdas are no longer competitive, the rotaries and so on. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with the rotary and piston, or even two-wheel, four-wheel drive, whatever, or even the more exotic high-powered cars that they have now, like the DTM ones and the Radicals and stuff. I think what it has to do with is the formation of proper rules to facilitate those cars to run with these cars. So I guess you have to penalize whatever is unique. Like rotary engines have a 80% penalty on them, but pistons don't. Four-wheel drive have a 10% penalty. The DTM car has a carbon fiber chassis, there's no penalty for that. So I think they need to start penalizing more of this new technology that's coming around to make the racing closer in general.
All right, well, we know we have a controversy with Group 4 generally. There's no specific tire rule and all of that. Do you feel that's a factor plaguing the RX7s in Group 4?
Yes, 100%, but I don't think it's plaguing the RX7s. I think it's plaguing all the two-wheel drive cars. You're talking about 44 inches of grip. The Focus has like 48 inches of grip compared to the maximum maybe is my car, or at 26 inches. And it's hard to argue that. So with all of these factors, you still come out and race. What is the driving factor behind that? Well, the driving factor is the love for the sport, definitely. And driving is, I would say, maybe 70% of the love of it, but fixing the cars and getting them up and running and stuff, that's maybe the 30%. So those two things factor in.
All right. Would you ever move on from this Mazda to something else?
I would, yes. Of course, the technology, they always got new stuff coming out. I don't think I've seen anything that I would buy right now, or that I would go to right now. I guess that's being the nature that the rules are always changing. So I don't really know what to buy now.
Okay. So what's next for you in the car? Do you have any other developments you want to put in place, given the fact that you have a two-wheel drive championship now?
Well, actually the next step is a step backward, because we've been trying a lot of gadgets on the car, like paddle shift and they haven't been working. We couldn't get them to work properly. It's more headache than advantageous. So I think what we did, we took out some of the gadgets like the paddle shift and some of the other gadgets, traction control and whatnot. And I'm trying to get the car as simple and reliable as possible, and go from there.
All right, so you've been racing for 5 years. You must have had some high moments and some low ones. You want to give us some of those?
Well, I would say the high moment is I think 2013 when I won 2 of the races in November. The low moment is probably my last race meeting about 2 years ago in November, when I couldn't even finish an entire race meeting. The car crawled past the finish line in the first race because the paddle shift broke the gearbox. So that's one of the reasons we going back to basics.
Okay. How was sponsorship for you shaping up?
Sponsorship is I would say okay for Guyana standards, because we don't really, and that's for all the motor races, we don't really get a lot of sponsors, being that it's a small market economy and stuff. But I get a lot of support from ISG, Ultra Lubricants, and of course I'm self-sponsored. I do all the work here, so it's going all right. It could be better, of course.
You've been racing for 5 years, so you've been around motor racing ever since you were a small boy. So you think we're moving in the right direction? I mean, Guyana for motor racing?
No, we're not. I think because, as I mentioned before, with the rules being very vague and I would say accommodating to anybody bringing as expensive a car as they want to, is deterring a lot of newcomers that want to race inexpensively. So I don't think we move in the right direction. I think we need to move to not cheaper but more cost-effective racing.
So that's something you think we should start locally before we address it at a CMRC level?
Yeah, of course. You have to try whatever changes you're making. You have to try at home first before you go overseas and do that.
All right, well, good luck in the coming races, man, and thanks for the interview.
All right, thank you.